November 11th, 2025, Bamako, Mali. Something extraordinary is happening that will change Africa's future forever. At the Bamakako Exhibition Center, leaders from across the continent are gathering for an event that has never happened before on African soil. This is BAMX 2025, the International Defense and Security Exhibition. And what's being displayed here isn't just equipment or technology, it's a statement. And the message is clear: Africa will defend Africa. Before we go deeper into what's actually happening at this exhibition, you need to understand why this matters so much right now. Because what's taking place in Bamako isn't just about guns and drones, it's about sovereignty and dignity. Let's start with the truth. Africa is facing serious security problems right now, especially in the Sahel region. Terrorist groups have been growing stronger for more than 15 years. They attack villages, burn schools, and force families to run for their lives. Children miss school. Farmers abandoned their land. Normal life disappears. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have been fighting this danger for years and have asked the world for help. Some help came, but it was never enough, and it often came with heavy strings, attached foreign bases on African land. Foreign soldiers would be making key decisions, so these three countries made a bold move. On September 16, 2023, they formed the Alliance of Sahel States, and by July 6, 2024, they upgraded it into the Confederation of Sahel States. Three countries, one command, one mission, defeat terrorism together using African solutions. But here's the problem they faced. You can't fight a modern war without modern equipment. Mali's prime minister said it directly during the opening ceremony. Traditional financing models based on foreign military aid have failed. Buying weapons from countries that attach political strings doesn't work. Africa needed a different approach. That's where Turkey entered the picture. Turkey isn't a traditional Western power. It's not a former colonial nation. What Turkey brings is technology, industrial capability, and a willingness to work with African nations as genuine partners. Over the past decade, Turkey has become one of the world's top defense producers. Its drones fly in major conflict zones. Its armored vehicles protect soldiers across multiple regions. Turkish defense firms now compete head-to-head with American and European giants. And now, Turkey is bringing that technology to Africa. At BAMX 2025, Turkish companies are displaying equipment that African militaries desperately need. But more importantly, Turkey is offering something beyond just selling weapons. They're proposing joint production facilities, technology transfer agreements, training programs, the kind of partnerships that help African nations build their own defense industries instead of staying dependent on imports forever. During the exhibition opening, Turkey's Vice President of Defense Industry stood alongside Mali's Prime Minister. The symbolism was powerful. This was two nations building something together. Colonel M. Tarola, who helped organize BAMX 2025, explained Turkey's appeal in simple terms. Turkey respects Mali's sovereignty. Turkey respects Mali's right to choose its own partners. And Turkey takes into account the vital interests of the Malian people. Those three principles matter more than anything else. Looking through the exhibition halls at Bamakako, you see equipment that would have been impossible for African militaries to access just a few years ago. Start with the drones. These aren't small surveillance drones that hobbyists fly in parks. These are military-grade unmanned aerial vehicles with capabilities that match fighter jets. During the exhibition, Ibrahim Mega, a drone specialist, demonstrated one of these systems to journalists. When asked about its capabilities, he answered directly, "This drone has capabilities similar to cargo aircraft. It strikes like F-16 fighter planes. And yes, it also drops bombs." Think about what that means. A drone that can carry heavy payloads across long distances. A drone that can strike targets with precision. A drone that costs a fraction of what a traditional fighter jet costs. For African militaries trying to patrol vast territories with limited budgets, this technology is revolutionary. But drones are just the beginning. At the exhibition, Turkish companies displayed advanced rifle systems in multiple calibers. Automatic pistols are designed for military and police use. 12-gauge shotguns for security forces. Body armor and bulletproof vests are rated for different threat levels. Night vision equipment for operations in darkness. Communication systems that work in remote areas. Then there's ammunition production technology, which may be the most important piece of all. One Malian company, Karma Sarl, has been producing ammunition for 25 years and exporting across West Africa. At BAMX 2025, they finally had a platform to show what African companies can already do. Their message was simple. Africa does not have to wait for the future to build defense capacity. The capability already exists today. BAMX 2025 lasted only 4 days, but its real impact will be felt for years. Right now, military leaders from many African countries are reviewing what they saw, comparing systems, and preparing procurement decisions. Some of those conversations will turn into contracts, and those contracts will directly strengthen national defense capabilities. This is where exhibitions stop being talk and start becoming real-world change. But the deeper impact goes beyond individual sales. BAMX 2025 establishes Bamako as a hub for defense cooperation in Africa. The exhibition demonstrated that African nations can organize world-class defense industry events. It proved that international companies will bring their best technology to Africa when given the opportunity. And it showed that African nations are serious about building sovereign defense capabilities. Turkey's ambassador to Mali indicated during the event that this first BAMX exhibition won't be the last. If successful, the exhibition could become an annual or biennial event, creating a permanent platform for defense cooperation in Africa. The Confederation of Sahel States is also using BAMX 2025 as a launching point for deeper integration of their military forces. The shared exposure to technology and joint discussions among military officials from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso strengthen the practical cooperation that makes the Confederation effective. Not everyone celebrates BAMX 2025 or the broader trend it represents. Some international critics worry that stronger military power in Africa could increase conflict instead of reducing it. Others question whether African nations should spend money on defense when they still face big problems like poverty, education, and healthcare. There are also doubts about new partnerships, especially with countries like Turkey, with critics asking if these relationships will really be better than long-standing ties with Western nations. These concerns are fair. Military equipment costs a lot. Building a strong defense industry takes time, money, and long-term planning. And every new partnership comes with risk. There are no free lunches in global politics. But there is another side to this argument. Africa is facing real and immediate security threats. Terrorism in the Sahel is not a future worry. It is happening right now. People are dying, communities are being destroyed, and development is being pushed further away. Without safety, schools cannot function, businesses cannot grow, and infrastructure cannot survive. Saying, focus on development first, sounds nice, but without security, development never even gets a chance to start. As for working with non-traditional partners like Turkey, many African leaders believe the risk is worth it. After decades of partnerships that came with heavy political conditions, they are choosing to explore new options and protect their independence, even if it means learning the hard way. BAMX 2025 concluded on November 14, 2025, but its significance extends far beyond those 4 days in Bamako. This exhibition demonstrated that African nations are taking control of their own security futures. It showed that Africa no longer depends on only one path or one group of partners. It proved that African countries can build defense industries, host world-class exhibitions, and make serious decisions about their own protection. The message was simple and powerful. Africa will defend Africa. The drones, vehicles, and locally produced equipment on display were not just tools of war, they were symbols of sovereignty, dignity, and self-determination. This is Africa saying it no longer wants to be a regular customer in someone else's security system. The road ahead will not be easy. Building strong defense industries takes decades, not months. Ending terrorism takes more than weapons. And staying independent requires constant focus and smart choices. But determination cannot be imported. It must be built step by step. BAMX 2025 was one of those steps, and based on what we saw in Bamako, African nations are ready to keep moving forward, even when the path is long and difficult. And if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this. The defense revolution has begun, and this time, Africa is leading it.